Hey, in today's video, we're going over 3 questions that every Fed, and really for that matter, everybody retiring, they're going to ask these 3 questions, or at least some version of these 3 questions. How much is enough? Will I ever have enough? And then the hardest question is, will it always be enough? In today's video, we're going over what would cause your money to no longer remain enough. So stick around to get the answers. Hey, this is Mel Stubbs. I'm a financial planner at Christy Capital Management, where we're helping federal employees plan for retirement. There are 3 questions that in some form or fashion, everybody asks themselves. The first question is, how much is enough? It seems like in our day and age, the answer is always more, but it shouldn't be. If we get really mathematical about it, there should be a number of how much is enough to live at the lifestyle that you want to live at, to do the things in retirement that you want to do. How much money do you need to have saved up? The great part about this, about being a Fed, is that you're going to have a federal pension. You're going to have Social Security. If you're married, you're going to have a spousal Social Security. That goes a long way in paying for one's lifestyle in retirement. To fill that gap, if there is one, you'll need to have some assets. It's probably going to be your TSP. Now, maybe you have some other assets as well, but let's focus on the TSP for this. Figuring out how much you need to have saved by retirement is a question that will need to have an answer. And that answer kind of leads us into the next question of, will I ever have enough? It's great to know how much is enough, but will I ever have it? Because you don't want to retire until you know you have enough. You hear all the horror stories of people retiring without really doing the math to find out that in their 70s, they don't have enough and they have to drastically cut their lifestyle. So first, let's figure out how much is enough. Then let's figure out, will you ever have enough? These are the things that we're helping clients with all the time. Now, the third question is definitely something that we step in and help. Will it continue to be enough? So let's assume that you've come up with how much is enough, and you've saved the money. You've got the money. You currently have enough. You're going to retire. Will it continue to be enough? So every situation is different. So the answer, of course, is, well, it depends. You could be overly aggressive, maybe take several negative years and kind of mess up your retirement because you don't have enough because you took big losses. If the pendulum swung to the extreme on the other side, you could be overly conservative where your money is just not growing and it's not keeping up with inflation, where you have enough now, but every year you're kind of going broke safely, so to speak. So maybe you got 100% of your money in the G fund and you're hoping that the cost of living that you're going to get on your pension and your Social Security is going to help offset the higher inflation and the higher taxes. But is there a scenario where it doesn't keep up? And in fact, that you're overly conservative with your money means that you have enough now, but 10 or 15 years from now, you won't have enough. This is a potential outcome. The name of the game is having your money be aggressive enough to make sure that you have enough 15 or 20 years from now, but not so aggressive that you can't fund your current lifestyle from a conservative location. If you think of a bucket strategy, maybe have a bucket that's conservative, where any spending you need for the next 5 years is going to come from that bucket. Let's say you're taking out $20,000 a year, and so for 5 years, it'd be $100,000. So maybe to make you feel good, you've got $100,000 sitting somewhere that's completely conservative, where it cannot lose. That may allow you to have your other money be fairly aggressive, where in the long run, it should grow. It should grow. At least at the filming of this video, the stock market is either at a high or like near an all-time high. And an all-time high, by definition, means it has rebounded from every down market it's ever had, and it's now risen to an all-time high. As long as you have a place that's conservative that you can get your monthly income from, it gives you the ability to be more aggressive with your other money if you want to. What's another reason why you might have enough now, but it might not continue to be enough? What if there's a big change in taxes? I've heard it said that the federal government spends money like a drunken sailor. The more they spend, the potential for higher inflation. The more things cost, the more money you'll have to pull out of your assets to pay for it. There are cost of livings built into your pension and into Social Security, but they usually don't fully keep up with inflation. So inflation can erode your ability to keep up your lifestyle. Also, with the government spending, all this money, there's a chance that taxes are going to be higher. If you look at the chart right here, it shows that the top tax brackets, the highest it ever was 94%. And then in the 1970s, the top tax bracket was 70%. Right now, the top tax bracket is 37%, and it's slated to go back up to 39.6% at the end of the Trump tax cuts. If you look historically, tax rates are actually pretty low right now, so higher taxes in the future is not something that's unheard of. So not only does inflation mean you might have to spend more money, but think about taxes. You could run out of money faster as well because of taxes. Let's say you've been taking a distribution of $20,000 a year at today's tax rates. But if taxes change negatively by a lot, you might have to start taking out $30,000 a year just to get the same amount of spendable money after taxes. That extra distribution every year can cause your money to no longer be enough. So what can you do to get past that? Well, there's tax planning strategies that you could implement to divest the IRS from your retirement accounts. Now, your pension will always be taxable. If you've got a good, healthy pension, then the majority of your Social Security is going to be taxable. But your traditional TSP, that is fully taxable on every distribution, can be systematically shifted over to Roth, where when you take a distribution from Roth, it won't be taxable. Let's just say, for instance, that 10 years from now, taxes are going to be much higher. You would have a 10-year window where you could shift money from traditional TSP that's taxable and get it shifted over to Roth IRA that would not be taxable. Now with Roth IRA, you have to have a Roth IRA account for at least 5 years. And so now that's not the actual account that you're using, but you have to have an account somewhere that was a Roth IRA somewhere for 5 years. You also have to be 59 and a half or over to take the distributions. If you follow those two rules, then the gains are tax-free. And so if you have a 10-year window before you just know that taxes are going up, you could set up a plan to shift money so that your retirement assets are no longer subject to the taxation because it's in the Roth account. This is something that the TSP doesn't let you do. Is this something that you can do for yourself? For sure. But can you also do it wrong? Yeah, there's a right and a wrong way to do it. The quicker you shift money to Roth, in theory, that might be better, but it depends on what tax rate you're paying to shift it. If you do it too quickly, you end up paying taxes at a higher rate that you maybe otherwise wouldn't have had to do. That wouldn't be best. If you shift it too slowly, then you don't get the heavy lifting done by the tax increase that you think's on the horizon. So it can take some finesse to get it worked out. This is the type of stuff that we help people with. So if you're a federal employee or a federal retiree and you've got $500,000 or more of traditional TSP, there is a reasonable chance that you're going to have some tax issues later. Most of the clients we talk with, they're meeting their lifestyle with their pension, with their Social Security, and then some of them are having to take reasonable distributions from their assets, but some of them aren't even having to take distributions. So that just means that the retirement money is going to keep accumulating year after year with the growth, depending on what they're invested in, which on the surface is a good thing. But if we look at it, your tax bracket, if we look at your tax return and forecast out what is your income, your taxable income going to look like in the next 10 or 15 years, when your retirement money keeps growing and it's all taxable and you hit your RMD age of either 73 or 75 and the IRS forces you to take large distributions that are 100% taxable at whatever tax bracket you happen to be in at that time, you set yourself up for a tax issue, a potential tax issue. Now, maybe the RMD is so big that it puts you in a higher tax bracket and you pay more than you could have if you'd done some planning to begin with. Maybe you or your spouse passes away at some point and leaves the remaining spouse now in the single tax bracket instead of the married filing jointly tax bracket, and then now you have to take large RMDs at the single tax bracket rate. I call that the widow tax trap. Being pushed to the single bracket is penalizing in a lot of instances. These are all problems that can be fixed. How would you feel if you went to the doctor and the doctor walked in and after 30 seconds, he just started prescribing all kinds of medications and surgery that you needed to have? I hope your first question would be, hold on, doc. I need to make sure that you fully diagnosed what I've got going on before you start prescribing all these answers. If you think you might have future tax issues, but you're not sure, and you want to talk to somebody that's familiar with your federal system and familiar with the tax issues that could potentially be on the horizon, if that's you, then reach out to us at ChristyCapital.com and click Talk to an Advisor. We'd love to go over your information and properly diagnose your plan to see if you're going to have any tax issues. If you do, there are certain things you can do to fix it, and we can help prescribe that to you. Do you want to know another thing that's similar in the healthcare field as it is with the financial planning field? A doctor can prescribe medication or exercise or lifestyle change, and some of the time, the people just don't do it. It's the same thing in the financial planning world. I can give you steps that you need to do so that your plan will be better, but some people won't do it. So if you're open to working with somebody to help you diagnose the problems that you got going on, help you come up with the solutions that you need to do, and then help walk with you to hold you accountable to do them, then reach out to ChristyCapital.com. Are you worried that you're at retirement age and you don't have Roth? Check out this video right here. Can you do Roth after retirement? If you need help, go to christycapital.com and click Talk to an Advisor. My name is Mel Stubbs. I'll see you on the next video.